Commander Samuel Wright stood at the main viewing window of the Earth Alliance ship Voyager. His eyes were fixed on the massive alien vessel that grew larger as they approached. The Narration mothership was at least 20 times the size of their own, its dark metal hull covered in what looked like scales. 2 minutes until docking, Commander, said the pilot, Nancy Reed. Samuel nodded. His stomach felt tight. This meeting was too important to mess up. Humans had only known about aliens for 3 years. The Vorations had made contact 6 months ago, and this was the first real diplomatic mission. "How are you feeling, Sam?" asked Dr. Olivia Murray as she joined him at the window. Her dark hair was pulled back in a neat bun, and her blue uniform was perfectly pressed. Like the fate of Earth might depend on what happens in the next few hours, Samuel said with a small smile. Olivia laughed softly. "No pressure, right?" Lieutenant Peter Garcia approached them, checking his tablet. "Final security briefing. Commander, the Vorations are apex predators. Their ancestors were pack hunters, similar to Earth's big cats, but with reptilian features. They stand about 8 feet tall on average and have the strongest military fleet in the known galaxy. And yet they want to talk peace with us," Samuel said, still not quite believing it. "We're small fish," Olivia replied. "Maybe they don't see us as a threat." Peter shook his head. "That's not how predators think. If we're not a threat, we're food. There's something else going on here." The ship shuddered slightly as the docking clamps engaged. A red light turned green above the airlock. "Time to find out," Samuel said. "Remember the briefing. No sudden movements. No showing teeth when you smile. No direct eye contact for more than a few seconds. And absolutely no touching without permission." The team of 5 humans gathered at the airlock. Besides Samuel, Olivia, and Peter, there was communications specialist Jack Brown and cultural analyst Susan Parker. They all wore the blue and silver uniforms of the Earth Alliance Diplomatic Corps. The airlock hissed open. The smell hit them first, a musky, sharp scent that reminded Samuel of a zoo. Then came the sound of clicking, a language their translators were still learning to process perfectly. Captain Zarek stood in the doorway. She was even more impressive in person than in the video communications. Her scales were a deep green with gold patterns that Samuel now knew indicated her high rank. Her head was shaped something like a crocodile's, but with a shorter snout and more pronounced brow ridges. Her eyes were golden with vertical pupils that narrowed as she looked at the humans. "Commander Wright," she said, her translator converting her clicks and growls into English. "You and your people are welcome to board the Claw Dawn." Samuel bowed slightly, as they had been instructed. "Captain Zarek, the people of Earth are honored by your invitation." Zarek stepped aside, revealing the reception area behind her. Samuel had expected armed guards, maybe a sparse military-style room. Instead, the space was well-lit and almost homey, with various seating options designed to accommodate different body types. Most surprising of all were the small Vorations moving freely around the room. "Are those—" Olivia whispered. "Cubs," Peter confirmed quietly. "Juveniles." This made no sense. Every piece of information they had on predatory species, both from Earth and their limited knowledge of space, suggested that predators kept their young hidden from outsiders. It was basic protective instinct. Yet here were at least 6 young Vorations, ranging from the size of a human child to adolescent, moving freely among the adults in what was essentially a first contact situation. "Please enter," Zarek said. "We have prepared a welcoming meal." The human team followed her into the room. The adult Vorations, about 10 of them, watched with what Samuel thought might be curiosity. The translator picked up bits of conversation, so small, soft skins, no scales. A small Voration, perhaps the equivalent of a 6-year-old human child, broke away from the group and approached Olivia. The cub had lighter scales than the adults, more yellow than green, with no pattern yet. Its eyes were wide and curious. Samuel tensed. He glanced at Zarek, expecting her to call the cub back or show some sign of concern. Instead, the Voration captain was watching with what looked almost like approval. The cub stopped in front of Olivia and made a series of soft clicks. The translator couldn't catch it all, but part came through. From far stars. Olivia looked at Samuel, unsure how to proceed. He gave a small nod. "Yes," she said gently, kneeling down to be at eye level with the young alien. "We come from a planet called Earth." The cub reached out a clawed hand, stopping just short of touching Olivia's face. Again, Samuel expected intervention from the adults. None came. In fact, the adult Voration seemed pleased by the interaction. "Your scales are missing," the cub said. Olivia smiled, careful not to show her teeth. "We don't have scales. We have skin. Soft," the cub observed. "Yes, much softer than your beautiful scales." Olivia agreed. The cub seemed delighted by this response and turned to the adults, making excited clicking sounds. An adult that Samuel guessed might be the cub's parent responded with gentle clicks. Zarek approached Samuel. "Your doctor has a good way with young ones," she observed. "Dr. Murray specializes in understanding other species," Samuel explained, still puzzled by the openness around the cubs. "Captain Zarek, I must admit I'm surprised to see your young ones present at this meeting." Zarek tilted her head. "Why would they not be? This is an important day for our people. The young should witness it. On our world," Samuel said carefully, "predatory animals are usually very protective of their young. They keep them hidden from strangers." "Ah," Zarek said, as if suddenly understanding. "But you are humans." She said this as if it explained everything, then moved on before Samuel could ask for clarification. "Please, join us at the table. We have much to discuss." The meal was strange but not unpleasant. The Vorations ate raw meat of some kind, while the humans were provided with cooked food that tasted something like fish and vegetables. Throughout the meal, the Voration cubs moved freely around the room, sometimes approaching the humans with curious questions or just to look at them up close. Not once did any adult Voration show concern about these interactions. If anything, they seemed to encourage them. After the meal, Captain Zarek gave them a tour of parts of the ship. To Samuel's continued surprise, areas with cubs were not restricted. In fact, at one point, a very small cub, barely able to walk, stumbled directly into their path. It fell forward, and without thinking, Samuel reached out to stop its fall. His hand touched the cub's arm, steadying it. The room went silent. Samuel froze, certain he had just caused an interstellar incident. He slowly withdrew his hand, looking up at Zarek with an apology ready. But the Voration captain wasn't angry. She was watching with that same look of approval, maybe even satisfaction. The cub looked up at Samuel with wide golden eyes, made a purring sound, and then continued on its way. "You have good instincts, Commander," Zarek said. "I'm sorry for touching without permission," Samuel said. "It was automatic. To protect a falling cub? That is always permitted," Zarek replied, as if this were obvious. Later, when the human team was shown to their quarters of night, they gathered in Samuel's room to discuss the strange day. "I've studied every known predatory species on Earth," Olivia said. "This behavior makes no evolutionary sense. Predators protect their young from strangers, especially other predator species." "Maybe they don't see us as predators," Susan suggested. "Then they'd see us as prey," Peter argued. "But they're treating us more like, I don't know, trusted babysitters." Zarek said something odd when I asked about it. Samuel recalled. "I said predators usually hide their young, and she said, 'But you are humans.' Like that explained everything." Jack, who had been quiet most of the day, spoke up. "During the tour, I heard two Vorations talking. My translator caught most of it. One said we smell like the old guardians or maybe ancient caretakers." The translation wasn't clear. "Let's not jump to conclusions," Samuel cautioned. "We need more information. For now, let's just be grateful they're not seeing us as lunch." That night, Samuel made his first report entry. The Vorations, despite being apex predators, allow their cubs near humans without concern. This behavior contradicts known predator instincts and may represent a significant cultural or biological factor we don't yet understand. Further observation is needed, but this unusual trust may prove advantageous to diplomatic relations. As he prepared for sleep, Samuel couldn't shake the image of the Voration cub looking up at him after he'd prevented its fall. There had been no fear in those golden eyes, only what seemed like recognition, as if the cubs somehow knew humans were safe. It made no sense. Humans and Vorations had never met before 6 months ago. They evolved on planets light years apart. So, why did these powerful predators trust humans with their most precious treasures, their children? Samuel had a feeling that when they discovered the answer, it would change humanity's understanding of their place in the galaxy forever. 2 weeks passed aboard the Voration mothership. Samuel and his team settled into a routine of daily meetings with Captain Zarek and her council. They discussed trade agreements, shared technology, and border protocols. The work was important but often boring. What wasn't boring was the continued strange behavior of the Vorations toward humans. Samuel sat in the ship's common area, reviewing notes on his tablet. Across the room, Olivia sat cross-legged on the floor, surrounded by 4 Voration cubs. She was showing them pictures of Earth animals on her tablet. The cubs clicked and growled with excitement each time she swiped to a new image. They seemed to like the elephants best, Lieutenant Amanda Collins said as she sat down next to Samuel. Amanda had joined their team 3 days ago, arriving on a supply shuttle. As their cultural liaison, her job was to observe and record Voration customs. "It's not just the Vorations," Samuel said quietly. "Amanda, did you get a chance to review the reports I sent you about the other species?" Amanda nodded. "Yes, it's the same pattern with the Krell and the Mandasari, both predatory species, both allowing humans near their young. The Krell were wolf-like aliens with thick fur and powerful jaws. The Earth Alliance had established contact with them shortly before the Vorations. The Mandasari were even stranger, giant insects that stood on 2 legs and had 4 arms. They were newer contacts, met just 1 month ago. I spoke with Chief Engineer Frank Johnson before I left Earth," Amanda continued. "He was on the first mission to the Mantasari homeworld. He said they let him hold one of their larvae. The other aliens on the diplomatic team, the Krell ambassador and the Bontari trade minister, were kept far away from the nursery areas." Samuel frowned. "So it's not just that predators are trusting with their young. It's that they're specifically trusting with humans." "Exactly," Amanda said. "And there's more. I did some digging into the xenobiology reports. In every case, the predator cubs or young seem to actively seek out human company. They approach us more often than their own kind in mixed settings." Across the room, one of the Voration cubs had climbed into Olivia's lap. The cub's head was resting against her chest, eyes half closed in what looked like contentment. The adult Vorations in the room watched with what Samuel had learned to recognize as approval. "I asked Captain Zarek about it yesterday," Samuel said. She seemed surprised by the question. All she said was that humans carry the old scent. Then she changed the subject. "The old scent," Amanda repeated. "That fits with what the Krell said to me. They called humans kin from before." Samuel was about to respond when alarms suddenly blared throughout the ship. Red lights flashed in the corridors. The adult Vorations moved quickly, gathering the cubs. Captain Zarek's voice came over the ship's communication system, translated into English for the human guests. "All crew to emergency stations. Damage in level 4. Sections 12 through 15. Fire suppression failing. Support ship incoming with cubs aboard." Samuel jumped to his feet. "Where's Peter?" "Training room with some of their warriors," Amanda said. "Find him. Then find Jack and Susan. Get everyone to our quarters and stay there until we know what's happening." Amanda nodded and hurried away. Samuel crossed to Olivia, who was helping hand the cubs over to their adult caretakers. "What's going on?" Samuel asked a Voration officer named Krelltak, who seemed to be organizing the response. "Transport ship damaged," Krelltak explained quickly. "Coming in hot. Docking systems compromised. Many cubs aboard." Samuel's mind raced. "Your docking systems are damaged? You can't secure the transport safely." "We try alternative docking port. But transport ship navigation also damaged. May not make clean connection." Samuel had served on rescue missions back in Earth's solar system. He knew what could happen when a damaged ship tried to dock with another vessel. "Let me help," he said. "I've handled emergency dockings before. Our ship's pilot, Nancy, is one of the best. We can guide them in." Krelltak stared at him for a moment, then nodded sharply. "Come." They raced through the ship's corridors to the command center. Captain Zarek stood before a large screen, showing a small transport vessel moving erratically toward the mothership. Smoke trailed from one side of the transport. "Captain," Samuel called, "we can help. Let us use our ship to guide the transport in." Zarek turned to him. "Your ship is too small to tow them." "We don't need to tow them. We can fly alongside, help stabilize them with our tractor beam. It's not strong enough to pull them, but it can help steady them while you're docking clamps engage." Zarek hesitated only a moment before nodding. "Do it." Samuel contacted Nancy on the Voyager. Within minutes, the human ship had detached from its docking port and was moving toward the damaged transport. Samuel watched from the Narration command center as Nancy expertly positioned their ship. "Transport ship, this is Earth Alliance vessel Voyager." Nancy's voice came through the speakers. "We're going to help you dock. I need you to cut your starboard thrusters completely. We'll compensate with our tractor beam." The transport pilot responded with worried clicks that the translators struggled with. Samuel caught Cubs in failing systems in the translation. "Tell them we've done this before," Samuel said to Zarek. "Tell them they can trust us." Zarek spoke to the transport in the Narration language, her voice firm and confident. The transport's erratic movements began to steady as they followed Nancy's instructions. "Tractor beam engaged," Nancy reported. "I've got them. Guiding them to docking port now." Everyone in the command center watched tensely as the Voyager helped guide the damaged transport to the alternative docking port. There was a tense moment when the transport lurched, but Nancy adjusted quickly. "Docking successful," a Narration officer reported. "Seals holding." A cheer went up from the Narrations. Samuel let out the breath he'd been holding. "Emergency teams to the docking bay," Zarek ordered. "Medical units stand by." "How many Cubs aboard?" Samuel asked. 22, Krelltak answered, plus 6 adult caretakers. Samuel followed Captain Zarek and a team of Narrations to the docking bay. When the doors opened, smoke billowed out. The Narration emergency team rushed in with breathing equipment. Samuel grabbed a mask from a wall unit and followed. Inside the transport, the scene was chaotic. The fire suppression systems had contained most of the flames, but smoke still filled the cabin. The adult Narrations were trying to calm the frightened Cubs, but 2 of the adults appeared injured. Samuel helped carry Cubs from the transport to the safety of the mothership. The young Narrations, surprisingly, seemed to calm down when handed to human arms. One small cub with bright yellow scales clung to Samuel, burying its face against his neck. When all the Cubs and adults were safely evacuated, Captain Zarek approached Samuel. She placed a clawed hand on his shoulder, the first time she had initiated physical contact. "Your people saved our future today," she said. "This debt will not be forgotten." That evening, after things had calmed down, Zarek invited Samuel and his team to a private meal in her quarters. It was a much smaller room than Samuel had expected for the captain of such a massive ship. The walls were decorated with what looked like family markings, similar to the patterns on Zarek's scales. "In gratitude for your help today," Zarek said, "I wish to invite you to witness a ceremony. It is called Presenting of Cubs to the Stars. It is sacred to us. No outsider has ever attended." Samuel looked at his team, then back to Zarek. "We would be honored." "The ceremony is in 3 days," Zarek continued. "Until then, I wish to show you something." She activated a screen on the wall. It showed images of various predatory species from across the galaxy, the wolf-like Krell, the insectoid Mantisari, and others Samuel didn't recognize. In each image, humans were present, interacting with the young of these species. "These are reports from other human diplomatic missions," Zarek explained. "All show the same thing. The cubs and young of all predator species except humans." "But why?" Olivia asked. "We've never met before 6 months ago." Zarek made a gesture that Samuel had learned meant something like patience or all will be revealed. "At the ceremony, you will hear our elders speak of humans. They call you the Nurturers. This name exists in our oldest stories, from before we reached the stars." Samuel exchanged glances with his team. How could Narrations have stories about humans from before either species had space travel? "Captain," Samuel said carefully, Are you saying that somehow our species have met before? Zarek's mouth opened slightly in what Samuel now recognized as a Voratian smile. All will be explained at the ceremony, Commander. But yes, our peoples are connected in ways neither of us fully understand. Yet, as they left Zarek's quarters, Samuel felt a mixture of excitement and unease. The Voratians knew something about humans that humans themselves didn't know. Something that explained why predators across the galaxy trusted humans with their most precious possession, their children. We need to record everything at the ceremony, Samuel told his team. Whatever they know about us, we need to know it too. Olivia nodded. I've already started compiling data on all our interactions with predator species young. There's definitely a pattern here. And I think, Amanda added quietly, we're about to discover why all these fearsome predators treat humans like trusted family babysitters. Samuel looked back at Zarek's quarters. 3 days, he said. In 3 days, we might learn something about humanity that changes everything we thought we knew about our place in the galaxy. The ceremony was scheduled to take place in what the Voratians call the heart chamber, deep within the mothership. For 3 days, Samuel and his team prepared, recording everything they observed about Voratian interactions with humans. They also studied the data Amanda had gathered about other predatory species. On the morning of the ceremony, Dr. Olivia Murray knocked on Samuel's door, her tablet in hand. I couldn't sleep, she said when he let her in. I've been reviewing all our notes, and I think I've found something. Samuel rubbed his eyes. What time is it? Early. Sorry, but this is important. Olivia sat down and opened her tablet. Look at these readings. They're pheromone analyses from when humans interact with Voratian cubs. Samuel looked at the charts on the screen. As a commander, not a scientist, he couldn't make much sense of them. What am I looking at, Olivia? When humans are near predator young, not just Voratians, but Krell and Manasari too, we emit specific pheromones, different from our normal scent, and the cubs respond with their own chemical signals. You think there's some kind of biochemical communication happening? Samuel asked, now fully awake. Yes, but that's not the weird part, Olivia continued. The weird part is that these pheromone patterns shouldn't work across different species. These are chemicals that evolved on different planets, light years apart. There's no reason why a human pheromone should mean anything to a Voratian cub, or why their response should make any sense to our brains. Unless, Samuel began. Unless our species have met before, Olivia finished, just like Zarek hinted. Before they could discuss further, there was another knock at the door. It was Peter Garcia. Commander, Captain Zarek sent me to bring you and the team to the ceremony chamber. It's starting soon. They gathered the rest of the human delegation, Amanda Collins, Jack Brown, and Susan Parker, and followed Peter through the ship's corridors. As they walked deeper into the vessel, the architecture changed. The walls were no longer smooth metal, but covered with carvings showing Voratian history. Many depicted hunting scenes. Others showed space travel. But some, strangely, show what looked like Voratians standing alongside smaller, scale-less beings. Are those supposed to be humans? Jack whispered, pointing to one carving. Can't be, Susan replied. These carvings must be thousands of years old, from before either of our species had space travel. They reached a massive door made of what looked like actual wood, a rare and precious material on a spaceship. 2 Voratian guards stood at attention. When they saw the humans approach, they bowed their heads slightly. The nurturers are welcome to the heart chamber, one guard said. The doors swung open, revealing a vast circular room. The ceiling was a dome of transparent material, showing the stars outside. The floor was covered in soft material that reminded Samuel of moss. Around the edges of the room sat elderly Voratians, their scales faded with age. In the center was a raised platform where Captain Zarek stood with several cubs of various ages. The humans were led to special seats near the platform. As they sat down, Samuel noticed something odd. The adult Voratians in the room were watching the human delegation with what looked like reverence. They're looking at us like we're special guests, Amanda whispered. Not just diplomats, but something more. An ancient Voratian with white scales rose from a seat and approached the platform. The room fell silent. "I am Elder Skalag," the Voratian said, his translator making his voice sound gravelly in English. For 10,000 cycles, the Voratian people have performed the presenting of cubs to the stars. Today, we are honored to share the sacred tradition with the nurturers of old Earth. The elder turned to face the humans directly. "You do not yet remember who you are to us," he said. "But the cubs know. They have always known." One by one, the cubs on the platform were called forward. Each approached the elder, who placed a mark on their forehead with some kind of colored paste. After receiving the mark, each cub turned and walked directly to the human delegation. To Samuel's surprise, the cubs didn't just approach randomly. Each seemed drawn to a specific human. A small female cub with bright orange scales walked straight to Olivia and climbed into her lap. A larger male cub with deep green scales stood before Peter, bowing his head. A tiny cub, barely able to walk, tilted to Samuel and raised his arms to be picked up. Without thinking, Samuel lifted the cub. It settled against his chest with a contented sound. Elder Skalag watched with apparent satisfaction. "You see? They choose their nurturers, as it has always been." Captain Zarek stepped forward. "It is time to tell the story of the beginning times." The lights in the chamber dimmed. Only the stars above remained bright. Elder Skalag began to speak in a rhythmic, storytelling voice. "In the time before the Great Journey, when the Voratian people still walked only one world, we were not alone. Our world was shared with many creatures, some prey, some rival, but among them were the soft ones, beings without scales or claws, who walked on two legs and made tools with clever hands." The elder paused, looking directly at the humans. The soft ones were not prey, nor were they predators. They were something else. When our hunters left to find food, the soft ones would watch over our cubs. They had a gift, a scent, a touch that calmed the young. They could quiet a frightened cub, heal a sick one, teach our young to use their minds as well as their strength. Samuel looked down at the small cub sleeping against his chest. The story was describing humans as some kind of babysitters for predator young. Elder Skalag continued. "Then came the sky visitors. The ancient texts called them the Cedars. They took creatures from our world and carried them to the stars. Some Voratians were taken. Some soft ones were taken. Many other beings, too. The Cedars placed each kind on new worlds they had prepared for life." The elder spread his arms wide. "For 1,000,000 years, we evolved apart. The Voratians grew stronger, built ships, reached for stars. And somewhere far away, the soft ones became what you now are, humans, different in form, but carrying the same ancient bond in your blood." Samuel felt a chill run down his spine. The elder was describing some kind of ancient alien intervention, taking species from one planet and spreading them across the galaxy. Olivia raised her hand, a gesture the Voratians had learned meant a human wished to speak. Elder Skalag nodded to her. "Are you saying that humans and Voratians once lived on the same planet? That we evolved together before being separated?" she asked. "Yes, nurturer," the elder replied. "Not just Voratians and humans, but many of the predator species now found across the galaxy. The Krell, the Mandasari, the Fender, all lived alongside your ancestors before the Great Spreading. But that would have been millions of years ago." Jack said, "How could any biological connection survive that long? Evolution should have erased it." A different elder, a female with silvery scales, spoke up. "Some bonds are written too deeply to be forgotten. The cubs know the scent of safety. The adults remember the old alliance." Captain Zarek approached Samuel, looking at the sleeping cub in his arms. "This is why we sought out humans when we learned of your existence. Our oldest stories told of the nurturers who would someday return from the stars. When the Krell reported finding beings that matched the description, we had to see for ourselves." "I still don't understand the biological mechanism," Olivia said, her scientist mind still questioning. "How does this recognition work after so much time in evolution? Perhaps that is something our peoples can discover together," Elder Skalag said. "Our scientists have studied it for generations. We know that human touch releases certain chemicals in our cubs' bodies, chemicals that promote healing and growth. We know that being near our cubs triggers protective instincts in humans that are different from your normal responses. The female elder added, "We believe the Cedars may have engineered this connection to last. Perhaps they wanted to ensure that when we all met again among the stars, we would remember our ancient bond." Samuel thought about all the strange interactions they had observed over the past weeks. The way Voration cubs sought out humans. The way adult Vorations, despite being fearsome predators, showed no concern when humans approached their young. It was starting to make sense. "What happens now?" Samuel asked quietly. Captain Zarek looked at him. "Now we renew the old alliance. Humans and Vorations, working together as we once did. Your people have skills and perspectives ours lack, and we can offer protection and resources your people need." After the ceremony, the human team gathered in their quarters to discuss what they had learned. "It sounds crazy," Peter said. "Ancient aliens kidnapping our species and spreading them across the galaxy like some kind of cosmic gardeners. But it explains everything we've seen," Amanda replied. "Why else would predator species from different star systems all react the same way to humans? Why would their young instinctively trust us?" "We need to research this more," Olivia said. "If the Elder is right, and there's a biochemical connection between humans and predator young, we need to understand it." Samuel nodded. "That's going to be our new mission. Captain Zarek has offered to let a human scientific team work with their researchers. Olivia, I want you to lead it." "Me?" Olivia looked surprised. "You've already started the pheromone research, and that little orange-scale cub seems pretty attached to you." Olivia smiled. "I've named her Amber. Is that weird?" "Not weird at all," Samuel said, thinking of the tiny cub that had fallen asleep in his arms during the ceremony. "I think we're all going to be getting very attached to these cubs." Later that night, Samuel sent a message to Earth Alliance headquarters. In it, he wrote, "We may have discovered the most important thing about humanity that we never knew. We were never meant to be conquerors or victims in the galaxy. We were meant to be caretakers." 1 month after the ceremony, the Voration mothership arrived at Earth. The sight of the massive alien vessel caused both excitement and fear among humans who had never seen anything like it before. But thanks to careful preparation by the Earth Alliance, most people understood this was a friendly visit. Samuel stood on the observation deck of the Earth Alliance headquarters in Geneva, watching as smaller Voration ships ferried delegates down to the planet's surface. Beside him stood Admiral Laura Rodriguez, his superior officer. "Your reports read like science fiction, Commander Wright," the Admiral said. "Ancient aliens seeding humans and predators across the galaxy? Prehistoric babysitters." "I know how it sounds, Admiral," Samuel replied. "But the evidence is becoming harder to ignore. Dr. Murray's research team has made significant progress." "I've read her preliminary findings," Admiral Rodriguez said. "The biochemical connection between humans and predator young is real, but I'm still struggling with the implications." "As are we all," Samuel admitted. "But the diplomatic opportunities are undeniable. The Vorations have already signed the trade agreement, and the Krell are eager to follow." Admiral Rodriguez nodded. "Speaking of the Krell, their ambassador arrives tomorrow. I want you there for the meeting. Apparently, he's bringing his entire family, including several pups." "They trust us with their young," Samuel said. "It's still strange to think about." "Strange but useful," the Admiral replied pragmatically. "We're a young species in a galaxy of powerful predators. We need allies, and it seems we found them in an unexpected way." Later that day, Samuel met with Olivia in her new laboratory at the Earth Alliance Science Center. The lab was specially designed to accommodate both human researchers and their Voration counterparts. Currently, 3 Voration scientists worked alongside a team of human experts. In a special play area in the corner, several Voration cubs played under the watchful eye of a human caretaker. "How's the research going?" Samuel asked. Olivia looked up from her computer with excitement in her eyes. "We've made a breakthrough. Look at this." She pulled up an image on the large screen. It showed a complex molecular structure. "This is a special protein we found in human sweat. When it comes in contact with the scales of Voration cubs, it triggers a release of endorphins. Essentially, It makes them feel safe and happy. And this works with other predator species too? Samuel asked. Yes, with slight variations, Olivia confirmed. We tested it with samples from the krill and the mantisari. The chemical interaction is similar in all cases. But here's the incredible part. This protein serves no known purpose in human biology. It's as if it evolved specifically to interact with predator young. Samuel frowned. That makes no sense from an evolutionary standpoint. Why would humans develop a biological feature that only benefits other species? Unless we co-evolved, Olivia said quietly. Unless our evolution was shaped by our relationship with these predators. A Voratian scientist named Carrick approached them. We have been examining human evolutionary history, he said. Your early ancestors, what you call Homo habilis and Homo erectus, show signs of living alongside large predators without being their primary prey. This is unusual. Lots of animals avoid being eaten, Samuel pointed out. Yes, through speed, size, armor, or hiding, Carrick agreed. But your ancestors had none of these advantages. Yet they thrived in environments filled with dangerous predators. We think they may have had a different strategy, cooperation. Samuel considered this. You're suggesting that early humans survived by making themselves useful to predators? By helping care for their young. It is a theory, Carrick said. One that would explain the biological adaptations we now observe. Just then, Samuel's communicator beeped. It was Lieutenant Peter Garcia. Commander, you need to come to the archives immediately. We found something in the Voratian records. 20 minutes later, Samuel entered the Earth Alliance archives, where Peter had been working with Voratian historians to translate their ancient texts. The room was filled with digital displays, showing alien symbols and their human translations. What did you find? Samuel asked. Peter pointed to a large display. We've been going through the oldest Voratian records, the ones describing the cedars. Look at this image. The screen showed what appeared to be a very old carving or painting. It depicted tall, slender beings with elongated heads, standing among various other creatures. Some were clearly Voratian-like. Others resembled different predator species. And some looked remarkably human-like. How old is this? Samuel asked. According to the Voratians, it's approximately 500,000 years old, Peter said. But that's not all. We found similar images in the archives of Krell and the Mantisari. He pulled up more images on nearby screens. Though the artistic styles were different, all showed similar scenes, tall, slender beings alongside various species, including human-like figures. The cedars, Samuel murmured. Yes, Peter confirmed. And look at this. He zoomed in on the human-like figures in each image. In every depiction, they were shown in close proximity to the young of the predator species. The nurturers, Samuel said, just like the Voratian elders called us. There's more, Peter said. We found references to the cedars in human mythology, too. Ancient stories about gods who created humans and animals, who sometimes took them away to other realms. That's stretching it a bit, Samuel said skeptically. Maybe, Peter conceded. But consider this. All these predator species have myths about beings who care for their young in ancient times. Beings who would one day return from the stars. And all these myths describe creatures that sound an awful lot like humans. Before Samuel could respond, his communicator beeped again. This time it was Admiral Rodriguez. Commander, I need you at headquarters immediately. The Krell ambassador just arrived early with his entire pack, and there's been an incident. Samuel rushed back to headquarters, worried about what might have happened. When he arrived, he found a strange scene. The main diplomatic hall was filled with Krell, wolf-like aliens with thick fur in various shades of gray and brown. They stood on two legs but could drop to all fours for speed. Their ambassador, a large male named Rakhtar, was arguing loudly with a human security officer. What's going on? Samuel asked Admiral Rodriguez, who stood to the side watching the commotion. One of the Krell pups wandered off, she explained. Security found it in a restricted area and tried to return it to the pack. The pup resisted, and when the officer picked it up, the Krell went berserk. Did anyone explain about the touching taboo? Samuel asked. That's just it, the Admiral said. According to our briefing, no one should touch a Krell pup except pack members. But the pup is fine. It's the adults who are upset. Samuel studied the scene more carefully. The Krell pup in question was now sitting calmly beside a young human woman in a maintenance uniform. The pup seemed perfectly content, occasionally nuzzling the woman's hand. It was the adult Krell who were agitated, snarling and showing their teeth. "Let me try something," Samuel said. He approached Rocktar and bowed in the Krell manner, head lowered to expose the back of his neck. "Ambassador Rocktar, I am Commander Samuel Wright. I serve with the Voratian diplomatic mission." The Krell ambassador's ears pricked up. The nurturer who saved the Voratian cubs on the damaged transport. "Yes," Samuel said, surprised that the story had spread to other species. Rocktar's posture relaxed slightly. "The pup chose a non-nurturer," he growled. "This is not proper." Samuel looked at the maintenance worker, who seemed confused and frightened. "She is human," he pointed out, "but not a nurturer," Rocktar insisted. "Not one who knows the old ways." Suddenly, Samuel understood. "You mean she hasn't been trained to care for Krell pups?" "Yes," Rocktar said. "The pup should have chosen one who knows. This one does not know." Samuel turned to the woman. "What's your name?" "Alice Miller," she replied nervously. "I'm just a maintenance tech. I was fixing a panel when this little guy wandered up to me." Samuel looked back at Rocktar. "It seems all humans have the potential to be nurturers, but some of us need training in your specific customs. Would you be willing to teach Alice how to properly care for a Krell pup? It seems this one has chosen her." The Krell ambassador considered this for a moment, then made a sound that the translator interpreted as laughter. The old stories say the nurturers were always eager to learn. Perhaps some things never change. The tension in the room dissolved. Rocktar approached Alice and began explaining Krell pup handling customs. The other adult Krell relaxed, and diplomatic discussions resumed. Later, Samuel met with Admiral Rodriguez in her office. "That was quick thinking, Commander," she said. "You've averted what could have been a diplomatic disaster." "I think I'm starting to understand," Samuel said. "It's not just that Predator Young trusts humans. It's that they expect us to know how to care for them. They recognize us as nurturers, but they still expect us to understand their specific needs and customs." The Admiral nodded. "Like instinctively recognizing a babysitter, but still needing to tell them your kid's bedtime routine." "Exactly," Samuel agreed. "And I think this might be our greatest opportunity and our greatest responsibility in joining the galactic community." "How so?" the Admiral asked. "If we truly were caretakers for Predator Young in ancient times, maybe that's still our role," Samuel explained. "Not as servants or as equals in military power, but as specialists in something these predator species value above all else, the proper care of their children." Admiral Rodriguez considered this. "Caretakers to the galaxy's most dangerous species," she mused. "It's not the role I would have imagined for humanity among the stars, but I can see its advantages." Samuel nodded. "The Voratians call us nurturers. The Krell call us den tenders. We're still learning what the Mantisari call us, but I bet it's something similar. What if that's who we really are? What if that's our place in the galaxy?" The Admiral stood and looked out her window at the Voratian ships in the sky. "If it means peace with the most powerful predators in known space, I'd say we embrace it," she said. "But we still need to understand how this connection works. The scientific research needs to continue. Dr. Murray is already on it," Samuel assured her, "and I think we're close to a breakthrough." 6 months after the Voratians arrived at Earth, the Galactic Council held a special session to hear the joint presentation from humans and Voratians. The council chamber was located on a neutral space station built by several species working together. It was the first time humans had been invited to address the full council. Samuel adjusted his formal Earth Alliance uniform as he waited in the antechamber with Olivia, Captain Zarek, and the Voratian scientist Carrick. Through the large viewing window, he could see representatives from 27 different species taking their seats in the chamber. Many were predatory species similar to the Voratians, Krell, and Mantisari. Others were different, plant-based life forms, crystalline entities, and beings that seemed made of pure energy. Nervous, Olivia asked, checking her tablet one last time. Her presentation contained all the scientific evidence they had gathered over the past months. A little, Samuel admitted. It's not every day you tell a room full of aliens about humanity's true place in the galaxy. Captain Zarek made a sound that Samuel now recognized as a Voratian chuckle. They already know much of it. The stories of nurturers exist in many cultures. What they do not know is the science behind the stories. A blue light flashed above the door, their signal to enter. The four of them walked into the council chamber together. In the center was a round platform where speakers stood to address the council. Around it, rising in circular tiers, were the seats for each species' representatives. An alien that resembled a giant praying mantis spoke first, its translator converting its clicks and whistles to standard galactic language. The council recognizes the representatives of Earth and Vorak. You may present your findings. Captain Zarek stepped forward first. Honored council members, for generations, many of our species have carried stories of beings called nurturers, creatures who could safely care for our young, who had a special connection to predator cubs. When humans were discovered, many of us recognized them from these ancient tales. She gestured to Samuel, who stepped forward. Greetings, council members. I am Commander Samuel Wright of Earth. For humans, the discovery that predator species across the galaxy trust us with their young was both surprising and puzzling. Our species had no stories of this connection. We had no idea that we once played this special role. He nodded to Olivia, who activated her presentation. Above the platform, a holographic display showed complex molecular structures. Dr. Olivia Murray will explain what we have discovered through our joint research. Olivia took a deep breath and began. Our research team has identified specific compounds in human biochemistry that interact with the biology of predator young. When a human touches a predator cub, our skin releases proteins that trigger calming and healing responses in the cub. Similarly, scent molecules from predator young activate nurturing behaviors in humans. The holographic display changed to show brain scans. When humans interact with predator cubs, specific areas of our brains activate, areas associated with caregiving and protection. These same areas do not activate as strongly when we interact with our own human children or with the young of non-predator species. Murmurs spread through the council chamber. Olivia continued, showing more data and evidence. She explained how the biochemical connection worked, how it created a bond of trust between species that would normally see each other as threats or prey. When she finished, Carrick stepped forward to present the evolutionary evidence. He showed ancient carvings and texts from various worlds, all depicting similar relationships between human-like beings and predator species. The most logical explanation, Carrick concluded, is that these species once shared a world and evolved together. The humans evolved not as prey, but as caretakers for predator young. This relationship benefited both sides. The predators could hunt more efficiently without worrying about their vulnerable cubs, and the humans received protection and resources. Samuel stepped forward again. But how did species that evolved together end up on different planets, light years apart? Our research team believe the answer lies in the beings many cultures call the Cedars. The holographic display changed to show the ancient images of tall, slender beings that Peter had discovered in the archives. These ancient beings appear in the mythology of many worlds. They seem to have visited countless planets millions of years ago, collecting species and redistributing them. We don't know why they did this. Perhaps it was a form of galactic experiment, or perhaps they were trying to preserve life in the face of some disaster. A reptilian council member spoke up. This is merely speculation. Do you have evidence that these Cedars actually existed? We have genetic evidence, Olivia answered, changing the display to show DNA sequences. When we compared the genomes of humans, Voratians, Krell, and other predator species, we found something remarkable. There are identical marker sequences in all our DNA, sequences that have no evolutionary purpose but appear to be artificial insertions. She highlighted specific sections of the DNA displays. These markers are identical across species from different planets. The only explanation is that someone engineered them, someone with advanced technology who visited all our worlds. The Cedars, Samuel added, they didn't just move species around. They encoded this connection between us, ensuring that even after millions of years of separate evolution, humans and predator young would still recognize each other. The council chamber was silent as the members considered this information. Finally, a Krell representative stood. "This explains much," the Krell said. "For generations, we believed the stories of nurturers were mere legends. Yet when we met humans, our pups instinctively trusted them. Now we understand why." A Mantisari representative clicked in agreement. "Our hatchlings have never allowed any non-Mantisari near them, until humans came. We thought it was some form of mind control. We are pleased to learn it is a natural connection." More council members spoke, sharing similar observations from their own species. Many had noticed a special trust their young showed toward humans, but had not understood the reason. When the discussion settled, the head council member, a glowing energy being, addressed the chamber. "The evidence presented today changes our understanding of galactic history and the connections between our species. It also clarifies humanity's role in our community." The being turned towards Samuel and the other presenters. "Humans have worried about their place among the stars. You lack the physical strength of the Voracians, the speed of the Krell, the technical abilities of the Trisari. But you possess something perhaps more valuable, the ability to care for our most precious treasures." Samuel felt a weight lift from his shoulders. Since joining the galactic community, many humans had worried about their relative weakness compared to other species. Now, they understood they had a different kind of strength. The council session concluded with a historic decision: the formal recognition of humans as galactic nurturers, with special privileges and responsibilities related to the care of young across species. Several predator species immediately requested human caregivers for their nurseries and educational facilities. After the session, Samuel stood with Olivia and Captain Zarek in the station's observation lounge, looking out at the stars. "So that's it," Samuel said. "Humans aren't the galaxy's greatest warriors or most brilliant scientists. We're babysitters." Olivia laughed. "The best babysitters in the galaxy. The only ones who can calm a crying Voration cub or soothe a sick Krell pup. Do not underestimate this role," Captain Zarek said seriously. "For predator species, there is nothing more precious than our young. By trusting humans with them, we show the highest possible respect." Samuel nodded. "I understand that now. It's just not the role I expected humans to play when we reach the stars. Perhaps that is why the Cedars separated us," Zarek suggested. "They gave each species time to develop its own strengths. The predators became stronger, faster, developed technologies. Humans developed their compassion, their nurturing abilities, their diplomatic skills. And now we're back together again," Olivia said, "like pieces of a puzzle that finally fit." As they talked, a small Voration cub approached them. It was Amber, the orange-scale cub that had bonded with Olivia during the ceremony months ago. Now she was part of the first cultural exchange program, living part-time on Earth with Olivia as her guardian. "Dr. Murray," Amber said in careful English, "I finished the Earth history book you gave me. Did you like it?" Olivia asked, kneeling down to the cub's level. "Yes. Humans did many brave things, even though they are small and have no claws." Samuel laughed. "That's one way to look at our history." Amber looked up at him with serious golden eyes. "The book did not say that humans were nurturers. Why did humans not know?" "We forgot," Samuel said simply. "When the Cedars separated us, we lost that connection to our past. We had to find our own way. But you remember now." Amber said, "Yes," Samuel agreed. "We remember now." Later, as Samuel prepared to return to Earth, he recorded his final report on the council presentation. He ended it with a personal reflection. For centuries, humans looked at the stars and wondered what our place would be in the vast universe. Would we be conquerors, explorers, diplomats? We never imagined that our greatest strength would be something so simple and yet so profound: our ability to care for others, even those very different from ourselves. We weren't meant to rule the galaxy or cower in its shadows. We were meant to nurture it, to help raise the next generation of every species we encounter. The predators of the galaxy trust us with their most vulnerable members, their children. There is no greater honor no greater responsibility, and perhaps no greater power. We finally learned why predators lay humans near their cubs. It's because, in the deepest sense possible, we were made for each other.